Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, James Protin. Every week I will be sharing the experiences that have defined my journey and talking with people who have their own powerful story to tell. It's about doing better and being better in life, business, and all things in between. The visually inclined can catch us on YouTube, or you can check us out on just about every podcast platform. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. We're back here in the Mon Valley at His Place Coffee Community and more. And we have with us today for episode 114, a good friend of mine and a brother in faith, Mr. Lorenzo Altobelli. Welcome to the podcast, Lorenzo.
What's up, buddy? Nice to meet you.
Good to have you,
Never
brother.
really actually met, so.
Yeah. Let's start with the beginning. Your origin story. You're an entrepreneur. You have your own business. Have you always been in business for yourself?
No, I worked for people, up until I was about 20, I don't know, maybe about 27 is when I kind of went out on my own.
You've always been in a barber. You've always in.
No, so I was not actually. I didn't become a barber until I was 24.
Really?
Yeah, so it was really just out on a limb, actually. I'll just kind of tell you a little bit of my background first.
Go ahead.
My story of pain in life really started when my dad died. I was 18 years old.
Okay.
So 18, my dad dies, first day of school, my senior year, obviously horrible situation, you know what I mean? I was a football player, so I put all my heart and soul into football. I was like, this is it, man. I'm going to just dump it all into here, you know what I mean? And within 1 month, I ended up getting a concussion that completely ended my career. So,
You're from here?
Yeah, I'm from Cal.
Okay.
So anyways, it completely crushed me. I lost everything. And within that time frame, I had lost faith. I had lost sight of who I was. I had lost everything. I was just a lost young child at 18 years old.
Okay.
Not really knowing where I was going. So I kind of lost track of my life up until I was about 24 when I decided to become a barber. So that story is kind of funny. I went over to my sister's house. She has 3 nephews. And she was cutting their hair on the back porch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, my goodness, I got to help y'all. You guys look horrible. I said, give me them clippers. I said, I went to a barber before. I could cut some hair better than this. So I cut their hair for the first time, and I don't know what it was. It was just this urgency inside of me to want to just, cut more hair. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know why, I just really like that. So At that moment in time, I didn't realize, but that was a moment that my intuition and I feel like my soul was peeking through saying hey, yeah, do this. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I didn't know that then, but I had this strong gut feeling. And during that time, I was going down a bad path in my life. And I knew that I needed a change. And I knew that I needed to just do something for my future. And I had to go with, at the time, I just called it intuition.
Okay.
The universe. That's what I used to call it. I gave no credit to God or anything like that at this time. So one day I woke up, got out of bed one day. I said, I'm calling off work. I had a good job. I was a Hers chip salesman. 22 years old. I was making good money there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I woke up. I called off. I called the barber school. They said, you could start Monday. I had to decide, quit my job, lose everything, and chase this dream, or continue down the path. That was it. I called off that day. The next day I quit. Moved out of my house, lost my car, lost my house, had a daughter, didn't have nowhere to go. I literally jumped off a cliff on faith. But at the time, I had no clue what it was. So it's funny how later on in life, God comes through and shows you how it wasn't you or the universe or luck. It was a blessing in disguise. So that was all my problems. So that's how I started becoming a barber. I quit my job. I went to school. I hustled my butt off, and I finally passed and became a barber from there.
Wow. Where'd you go to school?
Right here in Douglas, yep. So, if my dad was alive, I would have never been able to drop out of college.
Right.
He would have never let me quit my job. He would have never let me go down the path I would have went down. So as I grew older, I realized that my father's death was actually letting me be free. And also
become you.
It let me become me, and without him dying, I don't know if I could have become the man that I am today. So it's almost like sometimes when people die in your life, you have to understand that sometimes there's a sacrifice, and they're willing to sacrifice themselves to awaken you or to change you or to send you and propel you on the path you need to go down. So don't forget that one, okay?
That's interesting. That's interesting.
It's a positive way to look at death in a way that it's like, if my life doesn't change when they die, then what was this death worth?
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. And, everything that you learn from your father, then you have a responsibility to carry that forward.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's nobody propping you up anymore.
No, and it's like that's where I became lost, and there was no morals, there was no 10 commandments for me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I was just a lost soul at the time. So, I was hard on myself through them years, but now that I look back, I have pity on that young man. You know what I mean? And I think that that's something we all need to do is when we look in the mirror, don't be down on yourself as in like, oh man, you're really sucking. You know what I mean?
Everybody has a past, man. Everybody makes mistakes.
It's more of just humbling yourself and really having gratitude for everything you went through. So that was like, I went through a really rough patch and my faith jump was becoming a barber. And then a new journey began from there,
Okay. So how do you now that you have your where you're supposed to be in your heart, how do you find balance? How do you make sure that, you devote enough time to your calling, to your passion, and enough time to your daughter, and how do you find that balance in life?
So that has been the forever life journey of trying to find that balance. And to be honest with you, I have just now found it at 35 years old. Okay. And I'm not saying I perfected it, but I found it. Okay. So when you're young and you're trying to make money, you're trying to provide for your family, you have to make sacrifices sometimes and work really hard and put the time in. Okay. But the goal is to do that when you're young so that you can create the life and schedule that you want now whenever your kids, or when they really need you, sure. To really guide them. So for a long time, I struggled on that balance and I had to put more towards work. And I planned for the balance to come and I sacrificed the time. Okay. And whenever that balance came, what I realized is it's very, very difficult to balance your life, your children, your personal health, your physical health, your mind, your body, your soul, there's so much energy to be distributed. And the key to life is being able to distribute that energy properly so that you can save enough energy to overflow into others and create new ideas.
Sure.
So for me, finding that balance is the key to your life. And I think the number one thing you should do is prioritize a list of what comes first that makes me better. And no matter what, I put these certain things at the top of that list. And those are the things that are tools to recharge me. Mm-hmm. I like to paint. I like to write. I like to read. I like to do all these things where you get into your mind. And when you get into your mind, that's where you can recharge. So my best advice is that if you want to find balance, then you need to first acknowledge that there's two parts to you. There's this, where we're at right here. And then there's your mind and soul is God.
Absolutely.
So pay attention to that. And that's what people forget. We're too busy head down working all day.
Yeah, and that goes into my next question I was going to ask you is what advice do you have for a young entrepreneur who's going out on their own, opening a shop, hanging out a shingle, whatever you want to call it, and that what you just said is critically important.
So going out and becoming an entrepreneur, and number one, it's also, balance of your life. But most likely, if you're starting out in a business, it's going to take, like I said, that sacrifice in the beginning. And one thing I tell all kids today is, no matter what they say, what's the one thing that that has to be there to be successful? And in my opinion, it's hard work. When you look at anyone that's amazing, they worked harder than everyone else. They read more, they worked, they shot more basketballs, they did something more than the next person.
Right.
So hard work is it's so key whenever it comes to success as an entrepreneur. So you might as well just chalk that up as something you're always going to have to do if you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
You ain't getting in it, it ain't going to be fun and easy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I actually started an online e-commerce business this year, selling a product online, which I've never done before, but from an outsider looking in, I thought, if I could just go online and sell stuff, it's not work.
Sure. Why not?
And I didn't realize how much work these people that are making millions are working way harder than me. You know what I mean? I can see the vision, and what happens is when you dabble down path as an entrepreneur, you're able to, the farther you go down the path, you're able to kind of see, all right, like if I want to get up there, it's going to take a lot of work. And you have to make that choice. What makes you want to climb a mountain? And it comes down to passion and purpose. So for me, I come across a lot of mountains that I think would be really cool to climb, but I know that I don't have the juice to get to the top because I have to listen to my soul to hear where the fuel's at, where the passion is in my soul. So what I do is if you're an entrepreneur, I try things everywhere. I have 10 fishing poles out. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing stocks. I'm interested in real estate. I'm reading books on this. spread your mind wide between knowledge and gain as much inspiration and knowledge as you can. So that's it. It's just really just spreading it all out there and just trying to solve the problems to your, trying to find the solutions to your problems. That kind of takes me into my barbershop thing. So check this. So I'm a barber for 5 years working in a walk-in. They've been in business 100 years. So this is what I did. I said, I'm going to go find somebody that's really good at barbering. The best barber I know. Been in business 100 years. I went there. They had a walk-in system. I couldn't get no one to come to me. Within 2 or 3 years, I was cutting 30 people a day, working 10, 11, 12 hours a day, hustling. You know what I mean?
Okay.
My goals were so small then that I was just happy to be making money. And I was living in a basement with my daughter for 2 years. I was just happy. So when I decided one day I was going to quit and start my own business, and he said, how are you going to manage all these lines? It's just you by yourself. You're not going to get a break. You're not going to be able to do anything. How are you going to do it? I said, I'm going to invent something to do it, to fix the problem. So it was Christmas. I went to see Santa at the mall, and there's a long line. I signed up on the iPad. It said, come back in 2 hours. And I came back and got right in Santa's chair. And I thought, what if I made that for a barbershop? So I asked one of my best buddies, who's a tech guy. We come up with a game plan. I invented my own software system for walk-ins, online check-ins, and appointments. And the first day I opened my barbershop, I dropped the system that I've never even knew would work. I cut 52 people the first day.
Really?
52 people, and not one person waited in line. And it worked. I'm still using that software. Now, my goal at the time was let me grow this software business and try to sell it.
Yeah.
Just like I told you earlier. And I seen that mountain. I said, that mountain's too big for me. That's not my passion. So I'm just going to use what I created because it solved all of my problems from here. So then boom, now my business, I took all the stress out of my business instantly as soon as I opened. And that was my first true invention for problem solving. And ever since then, I've just been on a ride of trying to make everything as efficient and best as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every category.
There are a lot of people have not recognized the journey yet. They haven't heard the call or answered the call, right? You are not only you're doing it now. You're in the middle of it.
I'm living in the moment of time right now, always. And that's what I realized. And the reason that I realized that is because I had no faith. I had nothing. And I lost everything so many times. And so many people were taken from me. And so many bad things kept happening to me over and over and over again. I had lost everything. Every bit of faith that I had was gone. It was completely wiped away. So that's because my perception of faith was different. That's because my beliefs were different. So as I progressed through my life, I realized that all those times that I thought I was leaning on nobody, I was being lifted up. That person was being sent to me. This message was being delivered to me. These words were being rained down over top of me, and I just never gave credit or knew where it was coming from. I just assumed, this is interesting. I'm just going to roll with it. I'm a gambler. I like to gamble a little bit. So for me, it was I have this personality of curiosity. And when you're a curious person, you need a lot of faith. Because
Absolutely.
how many times are you going to look around the corner and wonder what's coming?
They're connected. They're tied together.
It is. So I didn't realize, but I'd been practicing faith my entire life, but not knowing it until I finally started to see God work in my life. And then I realized I've always had it. I've been living on faith my whole life. That's how I got here. I just never recognized my soul or God or the universe, anything. I was just in this world, this little world of life that we all get stuck in, So for me, faith, a lot of people have anxiety. Faith's very big with anxiety, okay? And I used to have a little bit of anxiety and stress over things, and one of my customers come in one day and I've been cutting him for 10 years and I could just tell, man, he's just down. He don't know what his purpose is, And I introduced him to the idea of faith. I said, bro, what do you have to lose? Just try it. Just believe in something. Okay, so I wrote a poem, and it says, imagine every day of your life like watching someone else paint a picture.
Okay.
For every stroke is every day, and you don't know what's next and on the way. Okay? God and the universe are painting your way. So you need to sit back and relax, have a little faith, take a step back, and that's when your faith will grow, because at the end, you'll get to see the picture. And we never know what the painting's going to be.
Okay.
We just have to understand that it's going to be beautiful in the end.
Absolutely. That's a great way to look at it. So you told me a story the other day about God moving in your life, brought somebody into your life that was on the surface totally random, but it has become a very powerful connection in your life. Tell us about that.
So just recently, I had these visions to open a new barbershop and expand, and I did it, and I opened up another shop, and it failed. I lost. It didn't fail, but I had lost 3 employees this year. So this happened this year. So I lost 3 employees. My vision to grow failed. I was doubting everything. I was getting in a slump. I quit doing it. So I prayed. I just said, you know what? I don't think this is it. You know what I mean? So I called my landlord up. I was going to cancel. That night I got in the shower and I just prayed and I just said, please, you know, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing, Lord, but let me be a beacon of light. Please shine upon me and let me shine so bright that I attract people to me. So I envisioned myself as this bright light shining into the world, calling out anyone who needs to talk to me, you know. And I figured if I just focus on that, he'll lead me in the right direction, you know. Boom, I get out the shower, I get a phone call. It's my buddy from jail. Now, he's been in jail for 7 years. I haven't heard from him in 6 years. It's been years. I haven't heard from him. He calls to tell me that since he's been in jail, he got inspired to become a barber. He got his barber's license, and that his entire hope and dream is to get out of jail and to come work with me, and that he believes he will be out of jail this summer and beat the case, and that all his hopes are lying on me. Well, everything. So right then and there, I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, today was the day I was going to give up on my barbershop vision, but how can I give up on it? I'd be killing his entire dream. So for right then and there, I knew that I had just prayed to be spoken to and to attract somebody, and God sent him directly to me. So right there, I said, that's it. I'm not giving up on the idea. And not only that, but I believe that you're going to get out, and that we're going to be in this barbershop together, and one day we're going to get on our knees and pray to God and thank him for this moment in time right now, you know. So that went on, and then months passed. It's been about 3 months now, and I came through a new journey. I want to write my own book, you know. So I had this idea: how can I leave a lasting impact? Just like you. How do we do it? We write a book,
right?
You know, just like you. And I think I was so focused on that, but I was scared. Do I even write the book? Is it even a good idea? You know what I mean? Like, is my story really that good? And did I learn what I learned and understand what I understand? Or does it? You know how it is. You're in doubt.
Sure.
So
I had those doubts along the
process.
It's
like you just aren't sure. And that mountain was really tall. And I said, you know, I kind of want to climb that one, you know. So I didn't know, though. So I prayed on it. And then I fasted for 100 hours. I didn't eat. Okay. Only water. I sat with myself. I meditated. I practiced gratitude, love, forgiveness. I got my heart where it needed to be. And all I could see was the book. That's all I could see. Everything else around me disappeared. And all I could see was the book. And that night I get another phone call. And guess who it is? It's him from jail, okay? Really? And he calls me up, and he goes, hey, man, in the meantime, I had invented that barber kit, and I was viral on TikTok at the time, selling barber kits. I didn't get to tell you that story. But at the time, I was selling that e-commerce business, and I was viral, but I didn't like it. I didn't like that mountain either. I said, I don't want to do TikToks. I want to do something impactful, in depth. So I'm just at just a disarray everywhere at this point. He calls me. He goes, "You're not going to believe it. I seen you on YouTube. I got a whole crew of guys in jail watching your story on YouTube, and we're so inspired by everything that you went through and become, and we just think that your life story is awesome, and you give us hope to change when we come out." As I'm asking God, do I write the book and story of my life? He calls me again. You know, and they got one more phone call, okay? So now I know I need to write the book. You know, I got the chills.
Sure.
I need to know it. So I'm writing a book. A month passes again. He calls me again, okay? This time I'm saying, I want to speak. I'm ready to speak. I'm writing my book. I'm all motivated to speak to the world. You know, I want to go on podcasts.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm all excited to speak. I'm praying, let me speak. Let me shine my shit, you know. And he calls me. He goes, "Hey, I just had to tell you, I passed my barber license. I'm a barber now, Lorenzo. I'm going to come work in your shop one day. I did it, you know, and I just had this joy and love and just pure empathy for him just roll through my body." And he goes, "But that's not why I called you. The reason I called you because my court date's coming up, and I'm going to win. I know I am, but I need the icing on the cake. So I wanted to call you to ask if you would speak for me as a character witness on the stand." and that you would be the icing on the cake to show the people who I truly am to get me out of jail. And when he told me that, just like right now, my body just got overwhelmed with joy. There was no fear. There was no doubt. It was only knowing that I knew I was supposed to do that, just like the book, just like the barbershop, just like becoming a barber, just like quitting my job. And once you see God, you recognize it.
Yeah.
Okay? And once you recognize it enough, you know where it is you're supposed to go. And now I know. Okay? So if you're more interested in my story, I'm going to keep on writing for you.
No, that's your testimony, man. That's powerful because, God has been moving in your life for almost your entire life.
Yeah.
But you had to go through some things, some bad things, until you can clearly see it.
You just have to stop and look deep within yourself.
Right. Because the answer, you're not going to see them out here.
No.
You don't see them out there, no matter
what makes you look deep. Pain.
Right.
Pain makes you look deep.
100%.
We can resonate pain for weeks, months. It can give us disease and kill us, but we cannot resonate joy, happiness, love, and gratitude all day long. Why not? It's because we're not thinking of it. We're not putting focus on it.
We're not programmed that way.
So you reprogram yourself to love everyone and everything, and first love yourself.
Perfect.
And that's it, man.
Where are you going to be in 5 years?
5 years. So like I said, I'm not really sure exactly because so much has changed in 1 year. So it's not so much of where I'm going to be in 5 years. It's who I want to become.
Who will you be? Right. Who will you become?
Yes. So in business, I'm not really sure about that. So this sparked my inspiration to inspire the youth because we did a free haircut thing. And then the last haircut of the day on the free haircut thing, the last kid I cut ended up murdering his friend the next day in Menneson. And
Dear God.
I was the last person to touch him, and after I did this community thing here, it was just like, I'm that close to these kids. I just touched that kid. Like it gave me the vision of opportunity to inspire the children. So I thought to myself, what can I create that would inspire kids and leave an impact to where, a lasting impact,
right?
Something that gives me the fuel to climb a mountain. You know what I mean? So I invented the Inspire Barber Starter Kit. It's a little kit. It has videos, inspiration, my life story, and all the products you need to start cutting hair from home, all in this one kit called Inspire.
Okay, cool.
I invented that, and the goal was to inspire people and leave an impact. It wasn't to make money. It was an awesome idea, and I sold all around the world. I sold from Australia to Europe to, I literally sold everywhere. So I was inspiring people all around the world. That was the whole goal of the Inspire Barber Kit. And that sparked my goal to leave an impact bigger because the kit didn't fulfill me. So imagine, I invented this kit. It was successful. It sold all around the world, but I wasn't satisfied with the impact. So I searched deeper within myself, even deeper and deeper, until I come up with the idea to write a book because it's the only way that I can truly express my soul to the world.
Live, love, learn, pray, inspire. Those are the 5 pillars that we base everything on. And that's what makes us go.
Yeah. And that's exactly the step process of what happened in my life. I lived, I learned.
Yeah, absolutely.
I found faith, and then I inspired others. That's the recipe. It's a great recipe, man.
You're going to make a difference, young man. You are making a difference, and you are going to make a difference. See, listen, I appreciate you. We can sit here and talk all night.
I already know.
I appreciate you coming on, and we will definitely have you back once you get that book out. And
once we get my man out of jail.
We'll have both.
Okay.
We'll have you and him on.
And that will be the story right there.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you.